For the first time, I agree with Vladimir Zelensky. By the way, thank you for being part of African 360. The subscription on this platform is currently going well. It has baffled my mind. In fact, I didn't expect you guys to actually subscribe to this channel the way you guys are doing. By the way, let's go straight to the point. You know me, I don't waste time. So Zelensky has sent a strong message to Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump that Ukraine will not agree to any ceasefire without Ukraine being present. Ukraine must be on the table. And for the first time, I agree with Zelensky. Why should Russia and America sit and decide the future of Ukraine without Ukraine being present on the table? And there is a saying that if you are not on the table, then you will be on the menu, right? By the way, let me go deep into what Vladimir Zelensky said. He spoke in the Ukrainian language, so if I even play the video here, I don't think it will be necessary because most of you don't understand the Ukrainian language or the Russian language. But this is what Zelensky said, by the way. Let me read it for you guys. Let me translate what he said for you guys. He said, Putin's conversation with Trump may matter for their bilateral relationships, but there will be no decision on Ukraine without our participation. I believe the US president understands this. I am sure that if we want to end the war, we will have a trilateral meeting of the leaders. Trilateral, meaning three of them, meaning Russia, Ukraine, and America must sit and, have a discussion. And I agree with Zelensky on this. Look, I don't want to be biased here. Ukrainian men are currently being sacrificed on the battlefield. Ukrainian women are being sacrificed on the battlefield, right? Ukrainian future is currently being destroyed. So at least, even if the Ukrainians are fighting a proxy war for America, at least they should be respected. They should be on the table. It shouldn't be this obvious. They shouldn't be sidelined. They shouldn't just sideline them this way. It doesn't make any sense. So I agree with Zelensky on this. So Zelensky is just sending a strong warning to them. Again, one particular journalist also went to the front line and also interviewed some of the soldiers in the front line. And this is the message that the soldiers are sending to Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. The soldiers are saying that, so let me read what one particular soldier said. He said, so the interviewer asked him, what will you do if Putin and Trump manages to reach an agreement about the territory exchange? This is what the soldier said. He said, I am 100% sure that our government will never accept these ideas. This soldier is out of reality, by the way. Okay. So there are a lot of experts who are actually they are already predicting what will come out of the meeting between Trump and Vladimir Putin. Most of them expect Donald Trump to actually agree to the territories that Russia has annexed. Liman, Kherson, Zaporozhye, Kursk, all these places. Especially the Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast. We spoke about this, I think about 3 years ago. Those of you who have been following me on TikTok, about 3 years ago, when Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast was annexed by Russia, I told you guys that it will be very difficult for Ukraine to regain back these territories. So this is what most experts think. They think that, no, there is no way that Ukraine is going to regain back these territories. By the way, let me read what one politician in Germany said. He also spoke in German language, of course, Most of you don't understand German, neither do I understand German. So thanks to the translators for translating this particular issue. So most people are talking about this territory, and this German politician, his name is called Nicholas Lange or Lange, said, please, I don't mean to disrespect you, but I'm not a German, so if I can't pronounce your name well, please forgive me. He said, there are constant talks about an illusion. So he believes that this is an illusion. This particular Nicholas or Nicolange or Nicholas Lange, he's the same person who said Europe should prepare for war. And this is the same guy also saying that there are constant talks about that. Okay, let me start it. Okay, I'll put them on the screen for you guys to read. He said there are constant talks about an illusion. They say that the territories of Ukraine must be given up, and then there will be negotiations. I've never heard from Putin or the Russian side that such possibility even exists. So if it is not worth going crazy all the time over a possibility that may not exist at all. The Russian side want to continue the war even during the negotiations. They do not want ceasefire until they have talked. I don't know. Okay, well, so basically what he's trying to say, okay, I'll post it on the screen for you guys to read yourself. So what he's trying to say is, so this whole issue about Ukraine giving up their territories, right, especially the Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast, in order for peace to prevail, he's saying that Putin or the Russians have not said it openly. It is we, or it is rather the public, who keep making these claims that in order for peace to prevail, Ukraine must give up these territories. By the way, this politician, what he's saying, I don't believe he's actually right. I think Lavrov has spoken about this quite several times. I'm sure about this. I remember one time Lavrov said Ukraine is out of reality. At a point, Zelensky said Ukraine will not negotiate with Russia unless Russia return back all the territories. And Lavrov came out and said Zelensky is out of reality. Right? If they want peace, then they should get to reality. And the reality is Russia is not going to return back these territories. And obviously, from the Russian point, what I understand is once all these territories are now part of the Russian Federation, note, although the Russians came up with an election, they organized an election, and this, oblast, Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast, they voted without UN, right? But according to the Russians, they recognize this particular election because the Russians also cited that United States did the same thing back in 1999 in Yugoslavia, right? When NATO went to Yugoslavia and partitioned Yugoslavia into two, they made half Kosovo, yes, half became Kosovo and half became Serbia. So the Serbian side, they are still aligned with Russia, whilst Kosovo is pro-West. Kosovo is now part of NATO. So according to the Russians, there was no UN consensus over this particular issue, but the Americans still went ahead, NATO still went ahead, and they partitioned Kosovo into two. They used their own powers. And according to the Russians, if America succeeded in doing that, and today we have two countries called Serbia and Kosovo, then they also have the right to also organize elections in Ukraine. So, according to the Russians, they believe that these Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast, their vote is valid. So, Putin agreeing or giving back these territories to Ukraine actually means that Russia is giving up their state land to another country, which their constitution totally prevent Vladimir Putin from doing that. And according to Zelensky, from Zelensky's point, he don't recognize all these territories as Russian territories. And Ukrainian constitution also prevent any president from giving their territory to another country. So, so you see how things are confusing now. So Russia constitution prevent any president from giving their territory to a different country. So the Ukraine constitution also says. Ukraine constitution also prevents Zelensky from giving their territory to a foreign country. So who is going to win? Well, the meeting will actually decide who will actually own these territories which these two countries are currently fighting over. It's quite interesting. The meeting, I think, is all going to be about the territories. That is my prediction. That is what many experts are also saying. That at the end of the day, they believe that the President Trump is going to give these territories to Vladimir Putin. By the way, we all know that Donald Trump is a strong president. The meeting will be taking place in Alaska. Let me touch on this. I've heard a lot of people talking about this with Alaska thing. A lot of people are asking me that is Russia going to take back Alaska? Look, I don't believe this is going to happen. Alaska, is for America. The Russians willingly sold Alaska to America. It's not like the Americans went and took Alaska by force. It was the Russians who sold Alaska to Vladimir, to the Americans. So Putin cannot go today asking for Alaska back. And I don't see the sense in why Putin will go asking for Alaska. Remember that Alaska or Russia is the biggest country on earth with a lot of resources. So what exactly are they going to gain from Alaska? That is going to create unnecessary tension. And there is no way that any certain president of America would give up American territory to a different country. It is not possible. That is not going to happen. Remember, some of the American states, they took it from Mexico. So if they give Alaska back, what is Mexico going to say? Mexico will also start agitating for, all the states that America took from them. When you look at the states that America took from Mexico, they took from them through war. But when you look at Alaska, it was not through war. They bought it with their hard-earned money. So I don't see the sense in why Putin will go talking about Alaska. It doesn't make any sense. And another issue is, why Alaska? Well, those of you who think Russia and America are far away from each other, well, they are not far away from each other. They actually share border. In Alaska share border with Chukotka. I hope I'm right with the name, Chukotka. Yes. There is an island called Today Island and Yesterday Island. No, Tomorrow Island and Yesterday Island. I stand to be corrected, but I think that is the right word. Oh, yes. Tomorrow Island and Yesterday Island. Yes. Because of the time zone difference. That is why they call it Tomorrow Island and Yesterday Island. So, very close. Very, very close. They share border together. I think maybe for security reasons, because Alaska is very, very close to Russia. Why not Washington, D.C.? Why not New York? Why not LA? Why Alaska? I believe that the Russians chose this particular place for security reasons. And another point, people were also asking, so won't Putin be arrested? We all know that the ICC issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin. But I don't believe that Putin will be arrested in America. I don't think that is even possible. Because America, one, is not part of the ICC. So they cannot act on the orders of ICC. It doesn't work that way. Number two, when issues like this come up, these two countries want to work together, and it is totally impossible for America to harm a certain Russian president. Note, several American presidents have visited Russia before, and Russian presidents also visit America. That is absolutely normal. Even before Vladimir Putin became president, his predecessor, Boris Yeltsin, yes, go and check. In Yeltsin later parts of his presidency. He visited America. That is absolutely normal. Obama visited America. When Putin became president, he visited the United States. So these two countries, they work together despite all the tensions. Even during the Soviet Union era, these guys were working together. So there is no cause for alarm. I don't see the reason or sense in, United States harming a Russian president. For what purpose? It doesn't work that way. They are not going to do that. By the way, I'll be diving deep into issues like this. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. Africa 360. The reason why I decided to change the name to African 360 is because I cannot keep using the old name because they demonetize my other platform. So because the name I use on TikTok, I use the same name on YouTube here. That is why I decided to change the name now. I'll be discussing more about African issues. But I will also talk a lot about geopolitics. I'll talk about geopolitics as well, but I'll focus more on Africa, right? But for now, what is trending, that is what I have to talk about, right? It's very, very important. So guys, thank you for being part of this platform. The subscriptions on this platform, as I said earlier on, is quite mind-boggling. I least expected you guys to actually subscribe to this platform in this short period of time. Within the space of 2 or 3 hours, almost 100 subscribers on YouTube here. And anybody who is familiar with YouTube system, you realize that getting subscribers on YouTube is not easy as other platforms. So this is quite impressive. So thank you very, very much for being part of my platform. Shalom. See you guys in the next episode.